crack, Spud?
Not much, man. Yourself? How you getting on?
Yeah, it's really warm here. It's been mostly having the door of the office open, which is nice, but obviously that doesn't work when there's a recording involved.
Oh, not really.
But I have you probably hear, if you can hear a hum in the background, that's my air purifier, which is great, right? Air purity is fine, and it's doing some sort of ion thing, which I don't understand, which I hear is great as well. But I think it's what I actually want is a fan. Not an air purifier.
Yeah, that's actually what you want. An air purifier is not much good, especially when you live in the countryside like you do. You have very good nice air anyway.
I mean, there is cold air coming out of it, but it's like as if someone is blowing cold air through a straw, you know, like a small child.
Yeah, it's shite here, man. We had hail. The hail was so bad yesterday after the forest, I had to pull over the car and stop. Because people in the back were getting scared. Are you in the Southern Hemisphere or something? What's going on?
It
was mad, yeah, weather's bad. But sure, look, it's weather, it's whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yesterday wasn't great here. It's doing that crowded house thing of 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
You know, where it can be like glorious for an hour and then, you know, Baltic and then overcast and then, oh, there's definitely thunder coming and then, you know, it's night. It's all over. It's weird. Ireland's very odd. And I suppose the lack of traffic and airplanes and all that, you know, the sky doesn't really know what to do with itself. It's going
Where are the chemtrails?
Yeah. Look at all those people being happy now that there's no chemtrails.
They're not getting cancer anymore. What the fuck? Is it cancer? Fluoride. Did you see there's been like Irish politicians have been like putting in petitions to stop 5G stuff getting built, and they're saying, look, it's not because of any conspiracy, but it's just in case. Which, what the fuck does that mean? Obviously that means you believe in the conspiracy. I know, well, you know, like, it's just in case, like, what the fuck does that mean? No, it's just in case. Shut the fuck up.
You can literally say that about anything. I was going to put a picture up on my wall. Why didn't you? Well, just in case.
There was a good one as well. Someone linked, I think it was on Reddit or something. They linked up. It was the same Sinn Féin politician that had put a motion in front of Dublin Corporation about not putting fluoride in the water. Yeah. So one Sinn Féiner does it, then another Sinn Féiner does it, another Sinn Féiner does it, and like one of them was like, well, look, I have a cousin and her teeth are falling out and she doesn't eat the sweets. Which you have to translate for people means she doesn't eat candy or sweet sugar. You know, but she doesn't eat. Obviously, your fucking cousin, his daughter is eating sweet, you fat wit.
or just has bad genetics. Like people have bad genetics.
Yeah, and her teeth are falling out, and then But what was really good about it was then there was a doctor on the panel, and she just rolled up her sleeves and went, cracked her knuckles and went, right, fluoride, let's fucking do this. And she just listed off a million things of why fluoride's really great in the water. So, okay.
Yeah, it was like that thing you sent me that we were talking about on social media. That was really good. The truth behind 5G or some whatever it was called. And it was like your man going around the streets, look, no birds, there's no birds here. Immediately cuts to a shot of a load of birds.
That was rich. Yeah. Someone was on your Facebook giving out about 5G. And what was it? He was like, oh, well, no one in the mainstream media is saying anything that 5G is okay. Tommie puts up links to people in the mainstream media, and then your man says, yeah, well, not in America. I was like, what the fuck do you want? Like,
you can't have it all. I mean?
And like, do you know, I hovered over, I got the article from Sky News that they put out ages ago, and I had it linked, and I hovered over the send button. I was going to send it to you, and I went, you know what? I'm staying out of this, because that fella's a fuckwit, so fuck him. You know, I'm not here to educate anyone, but it shows you that, like, the Americans are like, oh, well, no one is telling us, and if, like, the UK version of Fox News is even telling people 5G is okay, but in America, Fox News is telling people 5G isn't okay. It's just like, but I mean,
I suppose in one sense you have to kind of go, like, they're in from an outsider's point of view, America is very, very strange. And I'm assuming that a lot of Americans, from an insider's point of view, are beginning to see that America is very, very strange. So, like, you can understand, in a sense, a bit more the hysteria around things like 5G and stuff like that because of the type of media that seems to be the case in America. Compared to, like, not to say that the media over here is fucking awesome and perfect and never lies to you, but, you know, it seems to be a bit less. Well, see, when you have national kind of news medias like the RTE and BBCs, whatever, they're not really in any competition with anyone, so they don't have to, in a sense, hype up things, or but it's well, maybe
they do because they're paid for. Well, they're run by the governments, so
yeah.
Although RTE didn't used to be run by them so much, now they're very much kind of in cahoots. Well, they have to be in cahoots because they're like, oh, we don't have enough money. You have a license fee. Literally every house in Ireland gives you money. Oh, we need more money. You don't need more money.
And you have advertising, like you have both. Come here to ask you a question. The kind of conspiracy around, because you've worked in newspapers and stuff like that. You were a dirty, perverted journalist at one point. When people go, oh, they're all in cahoots with the government and all that, is there literally ever a case that the government rings up the paper and goes, yeah, don't talk about that? I assume it has to happen in some ways.
It would happen it would happen certainly with like cases and all like that, like criminal
a court
stuff.
case, with law, but not. Don't talk about fluoride in water, or don't that kind of stuff.
Nah, go away with you, Jesus Christ. It's Alan Moore's thing, man. Everything's rudderless.
Yeah.
The whole world is rudderless. But like, I know that there's stuff like that the Irish police, the Gardaí, they'll stage like fake roadblocks and stuff like that to try and catch people, which is right. I like the sound of So like they'll be trying to say there's someone hiding in some village or something, so they'll put up some fucking roadblocks that aren't needed at all, just to try and make them nervous and stuff. So I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, hey, did you see the drug war in Ireland, the Kinahans and the other the Hutches?
I don't know. I'm vaguely aware of it, but not enough.
So you know the names, right? You know the names.
Yeah.
So I think he's the son of the head Kinahan fella. Nasty bunch of people, right? He's trying to clean up his image now because he wants to be he has a boxing promotions company. So he has boxers who are in his kind of house. You get me? And so he's trying to.
What about social distancing? It can't be in his house.
Well, it's in Dubai anyway, so So he's wanting to get involved. There's this huge boxing match coming up. It's going to be the biggest boxing match of all time. Like, it's going to be massive. Right. Tyson Fury and Joshua something. His surname is Joshua. Anyway,
Joshua Tree.
So it's going Joshua Tree. They're going to go at it, branches and all, leaves. Leave nothing unturned or something. I don't know. I can't think of a pun. This is going to be huge. This is going to be the biggest fight since fucking Ali, Frazier. This is going to be massive. I don't even like boxing, but he's trying to get involved.
Okay.
So he needs to clean up his image so that people will give him business. And what's been happening on YouTube and all is that people have been other boxing promoters have been putting out like videos with him or videos talking about him, upping him. And there's even like Tyson Fury, he's one of the boxers in it. He's like had videos with this fella. He's like one of the biggest drug dealers in the fucking world. Like,
right.
This is like Pablo Escobar trying to run a fucking boxing company or whatever. So on YouTube now, came out last week. They've put out a propaganda video about the assassination attempt of him, which happened in Dublin about 3-4 years ago, when a bunch of armed lads dressed as Irish police went in and tried to kill him. Now his propaganda video is like, I'm innocent. No, he didn't talk in it, but he's like, Daniel was very nervous for the women and children who were in the. He's killed 30 people. For fuck's like, we know that. Women and children be bollocks. Yeah. So he alludes to this. This is all the guards, the Irish police. This is their a conspiracy to kill him because the linchpin of his theory is that, the week before, the Irish police had seized some AK-47 knockoffs that the old IRA were using. So they used those guns. I'm like, hello. No. The Irish police are armed, okay? We think they aren't, but they are. Why, Daniel Kinahan, would they use guns from the 1960s that weren't even AK-47s, they were knockoffs?
Yeah, AK-47s.
Why would they use unreliable, shitty guns when they have some of the best arms that you can buy? You idiot.
Yeah. But that's because it's plain and simple that the Irish cops don't have guns. Well, it's Irish foot cops don't have guns, but the detectives and above have guns, of course. And,
even the street guards, they won't have guns when they're patrolling the streets. They have them in the car.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
But even
wound me up.
that, just to think that's fine too, because it means that their go-to isn't a gun. That's what the whole thing is.
Yeah.
But if shit goes down,
Yeah, if shit goes down, they just run back to the car and get it. Or, and do you know what's bad as well?
just hold on a minute, Paddy. Hold on a minute. Don't cause any more trouble. Stop too much trouble.
Get this. I have a cousin in the garage, right? And he was telling me that, like, when he goes to do target practice, he has to pay for his own bullets.
That's the most Irish thing I've ever heard in my
life.
life.
That's how poor the Irish police are. Fucking hell, like, it's ridiculous.
Irish police calling in sick so they can get the 350 COVID payment.
But look, if anyone's into, like, Pablo Escobar and those kind of, rags to riches drug stories, look up this Kinahan and Hutch drug feud, because there's tons and tons of videos on YouTube about it, and it's modern day. Like, I mean, in 20 years time there'd be these Narcos type or series
Netflix,
about these guys. It's mad stuff.
This time a year ago, you would have been going, "Oh, I could do a good documentary with this. I could do a YouTube story." Would have been right in up your alleyway.
Fucking would have been, yeah. Now, I don't care now. But I know I'm coming across wound. I am a little bit wound up about it, because he's taking this liberty of saying, "Well, I'm a good, upstanding citizen of the world." And
what's the response? Is it everyone in the world loving him other than Spud?
Everyone's laughing at him, just going, "You're an idiot," because obviously his ego is so big from all the fucking half of Colombia that he stuck up his nose. He thinks he's going to get away with this, and like he might get away with it because he's out in Dubai and he's running his empire from there. And look, I mean, I'm not going to begrudge him making a few quid, because I think drugs should be legal anyway. Yeah. So if he wanted to get into it that way, but like, he's like killing
30 people dead.
30 people dead. Yeah. That's a bit shitty. Yeah. Like, but then again, man, like if you know anyone connected with boxing or anything like that in Ireland, it's ridiculously corrupt as a sport. Jeez, it's just a huge money laundering operation for the different gangs.
Oh, really?
Basically. Oh, yeah. That's what boxing in Ireland has become,
Is all sport corrupt? Like, is it just like is this kind of view of things being fair? It's like soccer corrupt. Soccer. What have I ever called soccer? MMA
would have a bit of it as well. Because there's lots of different divisions and types of stuff in that. So like there's the UFC, which is Conor McGregor, but then there's lots of like other smaller associations under that.
Right.
Yeah. What's the big one that's corrupt? Tennis is corrupt.
Is it?
Yeah. But the lower levels of it is really corrupt. Like he can have like.
So is it like say football equivalent? Like the Premiership's probably grand, but Division 4 is fucked. Like is it that kind of a?
Yeah. So I was asking a couple of lads in UEFA about this one time, and they were saying, look, anything that's below the second professional level would have it going on. Yeah.
Right. What about GAA?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Rugby as well. Yeah, rugby's full of drugs and steroids, and they don't test for it.
Oh, right. Really?
In the same way, they do test for it, but they don't test for it in the same way. Like the Premier League's really strict about drugs, like really strict. But the rugby, you're all right, lads. We'll do it tomorrow, sure. Kind of thing. Like, yeah. But yeah, it's sport. And where there's lots of money involved. I
know someone made a good point, and I've no idea who it was, and it's going like if you say right, well, like everyone can take steroids, whatever, grand. Like let's see how far we can push this.
Definitely.
Like we're doing it anyway. So what's the problem? There's no one kind of in Major League Baseball who's not doing it, say, or whatever, is just sitting there going, oh, if only had my chance. This was only fair.
Look, I've been saying to people for years, like, the Dutch had this idea for Big Brother. They thought that, and it took off and made them an absolute fortune, the people behind that. And it was like, gladiator death flights.
You might run into some legal issues.
I'd feel bad about watching it.
Every week.
The first week. But
when I bought the Blu-ray box set, that was just the worst.
There's a fucking lot of people out there who would watch people kill each other. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, there's a historical precedent for such a thing. Like, people like to see people die.
Exactly, Tommie. And I just want to be the executive producer for one or two series. That's all, really. And I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm just going to film it. Your listeners are horrified now. Is he messing?
No, I'm not
Tommie, is he messing? Is he messing, Tommie? Tommie, what's he on? I don't know. I don't think he even knows. He just talks when his mouth opens. Yeah.
I did someone mention something go, did I say that? Yeah, you did, yeah, it's recorded too.
It's recorded. Ah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, so how's the coronavirus over there? You're fully open now at this point, are you?
Everything except the pubs are open because I got it wrong when I was telling you before. It's only it's pubs with food. Pubs with food are open. Anywhere with food is open. And it's good, but yeah, it's grand. We went out. I've met a couple of people during the week. Places aren't busy, but there's more people on the streets and there's more people around. But people are being fairly decent with the masks, even though they're not covering their noses, they're covering their mouths.
Right.
Most of the time. And then some people are just not. No, everyone will have them, but they're kind of depending on where they are. Like if you're on a street in town, people are wearing them. But like the streets out where I live, like people just put them on and off.
And what's the legal requirement for masks in Poland?
You're supposed to be wearing them, but they're going to be changing it now soon, I think, in the next week or two, where it'll only be in indoor areas, shops, restaurants.
And can it be like a
But even in restaurants are
be,
mad, right? Restaurants are mad because you go in and there's like a, what do you call it? Sterilization station or whatever. And you just spray your hands with the, what do you call it?
Spray,
spray your hands with spray. And then you take off your mask, you sit down, and you order your stuff, and sometimes the waitress is wearing a mask, sometimes she isn't, whatever, right? I don't know what the legality is over it. But like, so like you're in the restaurant, you don't have to wear a mask, but outside you have to wear the mask. And now they're going to change it to like, okay, when you're in shops you have to wear the mask, and pubs you won't have to wear the mask. I think, well, what's the fucking point here? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's almost as if no one knows what they're doing. That's
Rudderless. Absolutely rudderless. It's a strange word.
Ireland has just gone to, like, you could go to any amount of house parties. There's people just, like, it's up on Facebook, it's up on all the social medias, like, throngs of people and all these things. It's just, but this to be said, and this not to feed into the conspiracies, though, since Ireland kind of decided unofficially to reopen, yeah, sure, we'd no debts. That's, it's still on the way down. So, I mean, it's obviously not to kind of say, become the land of do as you please, right? Because I definitely don't think that's the way forward, but whatever we're doing seems to be all right, so,
look, I don't know. I think just, I've been out and about a good bit in the last 7 days, and, like, just wash your hands as often as you can. Don't touch your face, don't have testicles in your mouth.
Unless you want to.
Well, not in public, though. Maybe kids
people
walking around.
Upon that sort of thing,
Yeah, so that's, I don't know. But, like, sure, but there was a thing, did I tell you about the school teachers? I think I did last week.
You told me, not on podcast though, so you can tell the story.
Yeah, so there was, before they opened the preschools in a city called Łódź. It's a pretty big one. It's not far from Warsaw. Apparently, it's David Lynch's favourite city in the world. So that'll give you an idea of the madness that goes on there. Yeah, there's just fucking houses built onto the sides of houses, and toilets are outside and hanging off them. And anyway,
a load of dead bodies on the beach. Small men with long white hair just walking around, talking backwards.
Transcendental meditation, man.
Yeah, people hopping in the lotus position all down the main street.
So they did this, did the corona test on 3,000 school teachers and found that 600 of them had the virus, but none of them were sick. And then they did this other thing with the coal miners down here, because my area of Poland, the numbers went up massively thanks to coal miners dying. But they found that they did this.
It was like as if it was there for thanks to the coal miners.
No.
Coal miners.
Oh God, no. They did a random test, I think it was 400 coal miners from different coal mines, not just the one now. And they found that 95% of these people tested had the coronavirus, but also none of them were sick as well. So that'll tell you, like, it's everywhere. It's so much
sitting right here, completely and utterly oozing out coronavirus out of me and feeling great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's around us everywhere, and I think the governments now are just like, okay, well, we can't really do anything, but most people aren't getting sick or even showing it, so go on.
Yeah, but it's an odd thing because, like, as we were saying previously, but I don't know if it's on the podcast or just us talking about it, but it's like, I wonder the governments kind of go, oh, well, we probably shouldn't have locked down because what can we do? But at least, they were trying it to kind of at least slow it down so that it wasn't a big panic. So it's probably the right move and all that. Whereas somewhere like Sweden, where it's the death tolls have gone way up and all that kind of stuff, and it might right at this moment looks like it might have been a bad idea. They were going, well, it could be 10 years before there's a vaccine. You can't close for 10 years. So at some point, so you won't really see it in 5 years' time when we look back at how different countries reacted to different things. It's only when we're really going to see what was the right thing. Rather than in the middle of it pointing fingers at Sweden.
We'll all be
2 weeks ago, everyone was pointing fingers at Sweden, how awesome they were. This week it's, oh, no. How could you?
Exactly, yeah. But England are still going to get it wrong, though. Like, we're sure of that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like,
yeah. As long as we're happy.
That's planned. Like, they want to. They seem to just want to. Did you see the video of Trump getting on the airplane with the umbrella?
No.
It's just the perfect kind of... example, or I suppose the perfect thing of encapsulation of Trump or whatever. So he's getting up to the airplane, has the umbrella behind him, and he walks in and he can't get the umbrella in the door, so he just drops it. and it's just kind of like a 2-year-old just can't do something, just drops it for Mammy and Daddy to pick up. And he just goes, oh, that's good. I'm not finding it. It's so.
Does the video show his arse? Trump has the biggest thing. He has Jupiter basically on his fucking at the top of his legs. His arse is massive.
Yeah, but he's like 99 or something. He's 78 or something. Or 76 or something. Like, he's an old man. Like, and he was never like peak physique at any point, really, was he? Like,
imagine poor Melania with that on top of you or behind you or whatever they do. It's just
I'm sure live in separate rooms with separate beds and separate lives. I would say is mostly what that is. But I mean, you look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's been in peak, physical condition for like a lot of his life, and even him, like as an old man, he looks old man. You know what I mean? Like he still looks good, like for whatever he is. To like imagine someone who was never in that condition. They're not going to be pretty. You know?
No, they're not. But yeah, don't know. Like the whole thing, like you could all look back and just go, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a pendulum, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Like,
it's definitely a pendulum. There's no question of that.
I know, a pendulum, but it's like it's something that maybe Sweden and Belarus will be proved to be right eventually, but I don't know. I think you do have to be cautious. You know what I mean? You don't want people dying left, right, and centre.
I think, like, I mean, if we're to accept that what we were told, and it's not the conspiracy, and it's not whatever. That whole thing. I think let's for the first time in the existence of the Western world, whatever. Let's put people ahead of the economy, and I think it was a good move. Like, I mean, it might turn out ultimately you've been an ill-informed move, but I think it was a move from the heart, or it was kind of a human thing. So even if it's wrong, I think I still applaud it for the kind of.
Well, like, I mean, it's better for the economy to fail than for millions of people to fail.
Yeah.
I hope we can all at least agree on that, and that should be our starting point.
I'm not sure, because there's certainly people who don't agree with that. Like,
which I don't.
But that's the whole thing that like people go, oh well, maybe they were wrong, or maybe we shouldn't have closed down. But then you look at the States and go, well, they're not doing well. They're really not. Like, I mean, and what if them in Brazil have the highest equal number of cases and but again, as soon as you read any of that, like particularly on Reddit, so America has the highest cases ever, and then underneath it, but they don't include this or they include that, and other countries are doing this, and then the next one after, no, you're wrong. Actually, what it is that, and then by the end of it, you go, I don't know what even America is as a country. What is people?
What is people? I don't know. I mean, I hope within another week or two everything's a bit more back to normal for everyone, especially you lads in Ireland, because I feel sorry for people, because it's like you're all looking at Europe, and everyone in Europe is like, hey, coffee, ciao, woohoo, we're all kissing and hugging each other and having a great time, and then
back in lockdown in 2 weeks.
And Ireland is like, fucking Europeans. Next thing it'll lead to Brexit in Ireland. Oh, no.
Ireland just leaves the EU and they went, oh no, this is a terrible idea. Let's not do that.
That's a bad idea.
Of all countries in Europe to leave, not us, please. I think I get to a forest on Monday if the thing holds.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it goes to 20 kilometres I'm allowed to go on Monday if we enter phase 2, which it's likely we're going to enter phase 2 considering we've no deaths yesterday and all that. Yeah. And there's a forest 18 kilometres away from me.
18 kilometres.
And it's a lovely one. It's Little Woods. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was in a couple of the videos. It's really nice.
Okay. I don't remember.
Why would you? They all look the same.
Look, I've seen almost all of the
trees.
videos, but I don't remember. Is it the one where you do your ruins? Is it that one?
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that looks cool. Yeah. Oh, come here, quickly, before we move on to reality transurfing, about ruins, okay?
Yeah.
Can you explain to me how they work in Magic? And maybe we'll come back to it on another podcast properly.
No, it's simple. They work in Magic in the exact same way that the sigils of the 47s work. So think of runes as... think of the 47s as stolen an awful lot from the runes, because they have the two kind of ideas. So you have the sigil or the glyph, which represents a divination thing, not traditionally. They don't seem to have used it for divination. So a sigil could mean wealth, say, and then you can use the sigil then to activate that kind of idea in your world as well. So it's the same kind of thing as the fortunate in 47s, where you could use this for divination. Go, oh, your future will be fortunate, or you can try to activate the kind of idea in your life. Does that make sense?
No.
I think it does, Spud. I think it does.
No, it does make sense, but I think where I'm having trouble getting it is that, right, well, what's the first letter? The F, the Fuk, what's it called?
Fehu.
Fehu. So Fehu for me is a letter. So how can it just be, how can it be used in Magic to mean something it just didn't ever mean?
Because it did mean it means cattle. It means that movable wealth. It means wealth that's not kind of stored. It's stuff that you usable wealth.
Yeah.
Movable wealth. So that's what it meant. But it didn't just mean like the way letter K means nothing to English.
Yeah.
It represents other stuff as well. In the same way that the Jewish
Hebrew,
Jesus Christ. Not Jesus Christ. Each of their kind of characters represent different things as well.
Like Chinese and stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, that's just the English is the weird.
Yeah. English is fucking weird language, man. I used to teach it. It's fucking bonkers.
Like so many things that just you feel English, Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then explain it why. I don't know. It just feels correct.
I was taught that way. No, but when what was I reading? Some book, and someone was talking about using runes to do a divination. But so what do you do? For every you have your 20, was it 16 letters or 18 letters? I don't remember, whatever it is. Yeah. So they have them in like a Scrabble bag and empty 4 or 5 of them out and say, right, and then they just kind of take their meaning from that, from how they match
exactly
up.
the same way you do it with cards, like you you shuffle them, whatever. But people do it with bones as well, or any different, type of, or like the I Ching is done with sticks. You throw that and it, represents, one of the 64 hexagrams. There's like different permutations, and one of them is going to be one of these kind of what it represents. Traditionally it wasn't used for divination. It was used for writing and possibly magic, depending on who you read, but most likely just for writing. And then I've read other cases where they're saying that runes weren't even used for writing until later. So who knows? It's like as we were saying about the Ohm stuff before. Who knows what they were really using it for? It's like big sticking on the stone, just saying "fuck off out of here." The height of it, like.
Yeah, isn't it weird that apparently Ohm was only used for property? That's what we seem to know. But isn't it weird that they had this writing system and that's all they used it for?
Well, not if you're the oral kind of civilization where it's just you tell people the story, and then they learn it. And
but then you just get Chinese whispers all the time. Because look, here, go down to the shop. You need milk, bananas, bread. And then you get down. Look, I can't go, so I'll send the out fella, right? Dad, you need milk, banana, bread, and a monkey foot. Okay, okay, son. Look, I can't go. I'm gonna get your sister. Look, you need milk, banana, bread, elephant foot, and a kangaroo pouch. And then they come back to the mother, and she's like, "What the fuck? Am I supposed to do all this shit?" So I only get. Where's my change? What you thieving bastard? You know how dear fucking monkey pouches are. Christ.
But it even come down to the reckon that Shakespeare's plays are not remotely similar to what he actually wrote. That the amount of changes that happens in that kind of time.
Yeah.
So
Which is mad, because if you read Shakespeare now, it's still really difficult.
Yeah, but that's only because it's not what he wrote. when he was writing, he goes, yes, and Jim said to Michael, hello, Michael, how are you? What's the story?
One of my mates was doing English literature in college years ago, and he gave me the first fucking book they give you is Chaucer's, and what's it called?
Tales.
Oh my God, he gave it to me, and that's not English. What the fuck is this like? Did they not translate it into modern English so you learn it? No. So, fuck that. No.
Yeah, like Ulysses or that disaster that is Finnegan's Wake.
Oh God.
With the ambiguous S on Finnegan. Is it Finnegan?
Finnegan's. Yeah, it's not at the start, Spud. Yeah, a mess. Ulysses, though. Jesus. Your man Anton Wilson, what's his name?
Robert Anton Wilson.
Anton, he fucking loves that.
Loves it. Yeah. See, that's I like listening to people talking about it. I don't want to read it.
No,
Not that I don't want to read it. I'd love to read it. I can't read it. I don't understand it.
I get the love for Ulysses because it was so different than what had ever come before, and I suppose even what's come after. But it's the first book to ever try a stream of consciousness. It's like, here's 24 hours in this man's head. Let's do it. It's a fucking brilliant idea. It's very hard to read, though.
Yeah, you know? I keep saying I'm going to listen to the audiobooks. The BBC version of it's meant to be the job, like from 20 years ago.
What's that actor I like? Stephen Ray. Stephen Ray is in a Ulysses film. I think it's about 2 hours long, or maybe a bit more, and it's very good. It is really good. It's been filmed a few times, but that's definitely the best one that I've seen anyway. And it's good. Like Stephen Ray. He's great. He's a great actor. You know, for someone who dresses in clothes that aren't his and pretends to be someone he's not and shouts into rooms with cameras around, which is
he's good
acting. At that. He's very good at that. Which anyone can do, probably. I don't know. Like, if they want, try hard enough. I don't know. Maybe acting's really easy. It's just the gatekeepers have controls. Conspiracy Man, 5G. You know, you try and get into the fucking Gaiety School of Acting in Dublin. It's fucking $5,000 just to fucking walk in the door, kind of shit. You know.
Well, I heard unfounded, possibly untrue, but definitely is true, stories about the initiation into the certain orchestras, national or otherwise, and what has to be done.
Soggy biscuits.
Well,
worse. None worse than Soggy Biscuit, is there?
But it's like so I assume, even if it's not true, that it's some sort of version of those things definitely. I should look at what Matt Harvey Weinstein and what he was at for years, like, and all that stuff. So there's definitely that stuff is going on, you know. Wasn't there a case in the Irish newspapers not that long ago? They were talking about some Trinity College kind of, not secret society, but one of those societies, and their initiation, which was fucking nuts. There was like, you know the thing in The Simpsons, that's a peddling. Yeah.
They do that. That's what it is. Was it the Rowan Club or something like that? I don't remember the details of it, but it was like, wow, like it was crazy fucking shit that you would have thought secret societies in the 1700s got up to stuff. It's like, they're still doing that. Crazy Protestants. You know, they're so crazy because they don't have any guilt. They don't have any guilt. They're so crazy. Oh my God. And they work hard.
They work hard. It was serious.
Crazy Protestants. They're so kooky.
The Protestants in Scotland, they got a bit weird.
Yeah, a bit weird. Yeah.
Right. Reality Transurfing. So
Transurfing.
This is we're going to go into book 2, but it gets a bit hazy what the books are, and I was trying to find out. So this is the Rustle of the Morning Stars. We called the first book the Rustle of the Morning Stars, but it was the Space Variations. But that is my fault because the first chapter of Space Variations is called the Rustle of the Morning Stars.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah. So we're going to do chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, which may or may not be the full encapsulation of book 2. Probably not. But that's as far as we're going to do. A lot of this, when I was looking through it again, I went, "Jeez, there's an awful lot in it. I forgot how much is in it, and that I really need to properly sit down and reread it again." But an awful lot of it is there's repeats from the first book, because like, you have to remember that it was like book 2 rather than the way it's read now is in the big bumper book. But there's some good stuff on it. The first chapter is intention. And it's the big kind of, I suppose, the core thing of this is the 3 different types of, well, not necessarily intention, but there's the 3 types of wants, I suppose, which is desire, this inner attention, and this outer intention. And I kind of like this. I mean, the outer intention is quite vague. I don't think I'm about, I'd say about 80% understanding exactly what it is. So it's basically, desire is the want to have or to do something. But that's kind of it. It's kind of impotent with that. It's just like a wish.
It's like the song, Tommie. Free
What?
from desire, mind and sense are purified. Do you know?
So the
Mind and
desire,
heart, I suppose.
yeah, mind and heart, yeah. So it's kind of desire is a bit like just, go, oh, I'd love a new car, or oh, I'd love to go on a holiday, but there's like nothing to it. There's no kind of movement. You're not acting on it. It's going nowhere. It's kind of daydreaming, all that kind of stuff.
There you go. It's daydreaming. That's exactly what desire. Desire is just, I'd love to have that, and then doing absolutely nothing about it. I'd love to. I need to be skinny. I'd love to be skinnier. God, I need to lose weight. Well, I mean, if you just step away from the plate there, that'd be a start.
Yeah,
do you
the
know?
old, Steve Martin joke of I would do anything to be thin and in shape, other than diet and exercise.
I'm with you.
So then
definitely,
the next step up then is this inner intention, which is taking the desire, whatever it is, and in a sense forcing your will on the world or making it happen. Like kind of going out and doing the thing. So it's like you kind of force the world to change to your bend, to your will, kind of thing. So it's like you'll hustle, you'll beg, steal, borrow, you'll do whatever it takes to get the thing you want. Which that's kind of the traditional kind of desire and then intentional thing, Then the last one is this kind of, I came across it in different guises, I suppose. It's this outer intention, which from what I can gather is kind of allowing the goal to come to you or to allow it to manifest around you or within you or whatever, but not to force it, just to, like, it's kind of go with the flow on it. But there's still a kind of a movement towards your goal, because it's not just simply allowing whatever happens. That there is a kind of you're still looking for one particular thing. You're still going for a goal, but it's allowing it to develop in a kind of a natural state rather than trying to force it. What? Yeah, is that what you're getting from that?
So look, let me give you the two sentences from the book, right? So inner intention, excuse me, is the concentration. Oh, I've been out all week, coronavirus. That's it. I've got it. God, excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Inner intention is the concentration of attention on the process of moving in the direction of your goal, and then outer intention is the concentration of attention on how the goal realizes itself. So, like, for me, like this one did take a while to get in my head, and I was watching videos of International Transurfing TV. I think that's Renee Garcia. She's the only one. She's not the only one, but she has a English language channel about Reality Transurfing.
Which is the only official endorsed by Madam Sealand channel. She says every fucking video.
Yeah, they're going to be doing an interview with him as well. I think that's going to be good, because it's going to be, there's nothing with him really in English. There's just the caption,
that Russian one,
Russian captions, shite. Like, yeah. I hope he wears his sunglasses. He's such a dude.
And the wig.
So it's kind of like one way I kind of see it is if I kind of put it into a football terms, Messi, a footballer like Messi, is outer intention, because he's just so naturally talented that he can beat anyone and has been able to beat anyone since like the age of 10, all right? But then there's someone like, say, James McLean, the Irish footballer, who's just pure inner intention, because it's just absolute determination that made him a footballer, whereas outer intention is just kind of having the talent and letting things come to you. Now, that's obviously Messi trains very hard and works very hard. That's a simple example. But it's that inner intention is that, okay, so I want the BMW. How am I going to change the world so that how am I going to change the world and myself even to make sure I get that BMW? And then outer intention saying, I'm going to have a BMW. I don't know when, but I'll just do what I love doing. If that's my job, or if it's that making art or making music, and the result of that will be I'll eventually get my BMW.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it's kind of like the in the sense of letting things worry about themselves. Like if you want to be, a writer, then you just go and be a writer, and you don't worry about how you're going to make money, how you're going to live. You just follow, in a sense, your bliss, that whole kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because they say that like along the way, along the journey to your goal, that's where you get all of the other things connected with that goal that with inner intention you are focusing on anyway. Where am I going to get the women, the cocaine, the drugs? Brazil, Rio. Whereas just like, no, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to write a great book, and then you'll get to do cocaine off the arses of hookers in Rio.
Right.
On a book tour of Harry Potter. Could you imagine J.K. Rowling?
Oh, there's a thing in it as well, just looking at my notes here, it's in that, of course, as big in reality transurfing, this whole idea of, dropping importance and stuff like that. And part of outer intention is kind of dropping the importance on, stuff that's not important to your goal, I suppose, well. But it's like, in order to reduce the importance associated with the goal, the possibility of failure must be accepted at the outset. Once you've accepted the possibility of failure, do not think, just move in the direction of the goal. And that's kind of similar, as we've talked about before, of the whole kind of osmosis inspire thing of need not matter, need not be. You allow it, oh, well, that's what I want. And if it doesn't happen, that's all right too.
Yeah.
So that the whole luster result and the drop in importance or whatever kind of name we want to put on happens. But it's just a kind of a way of, I suppose, not obsessing with it or not getting nervous about it or not kind of overanalyze it, overthinking or whatever. Just go, all right, well, like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I suppose the kind of fear in that is that you're not really, you kind of feel like you're lessening the grip of your goal or you're not really going for it. But that is what the outer intention is pointing at, because the more you grip and the more you try to control, the closer you become the inner intention on the thing, in the kind of changing the world. And so it's just kind of almost going with the flow, letting it kind of happen. And there's a thing that comes up later on in the different words talking about like kind of chunks and stuff like that, where it's rather than seeing the big, because the big goal might be too far away from you from a kind of, space of, the different spaces, the alternative space, whatever. So you do it in smaller things. So it's just worrying about what you're doing next, just the next thing rather than the big thing and allowing it to go on. But I think that's kind of it. But I mean, it's a big one, and it's like that's like 30 pages or 40 pages that's kind of condensed into a very
inner and outer, and trying to get them to work together or to make sure they're not working against each other is a hard one to wrap your head around. But it's just kind of think about it as like I said, that inner is trying to force the world and force yourself to a goal. Outer is just having the goal and then taking each kind of step along the way towards getting it,
Yeah, because there is a thing that comes up, like, it's hard not to talk about all of these things at once, and I know we should be splitting it, but the whole thing of frailing, where there is a particular soul signature or vibration or whatever it is that you, like, there is a door, a particular goal or whatever that suits you, and once you kind of find that, and you're away in a sense. But if you're trying to force it or whatever, which is the inner intent. But it's not to say, like, he's not saying don't do inner intention. He says inner intention's fine for what it is.
Yeah.
And it works and it has its place and all that. But the big kind of thing of reality transurfing and how it works is this outer intention thing. But
and it's that the inner intention means you'll have to work a hell of a lot harder at achieving the things you want or getting the things you want.
And may be less enjoyable and fruitful at the end, because it mightn't be, because it's less likely to be aligned with this soul signature or this frail, because you forced it, and
I mean, like how many times have you heard someone come out with that thing, like if you turn your hobby into a job, then you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what outer intention is. It's that, because like your true goal will, to use a woo phrase, will manifest itself as you're kind of looking. Like, okay, everyone wants to be a rock star, everyone wants to be a fucking porn star, whatever, the star. Everyone, they reach for the fucking top of the mountain and whatever it is. But then along the way, they might realize, actually, I don't really want that. I just want to do this. Like, I don't want to be an actor. Maybe I want to be a cameraman, for example, So, like inner intention will reveal what maybe the outer intention is or was all along,
Yeah, we'll come back to that in the thing, because it'll come up in the later one, which is the Golden Doors section. So the next chapter is this thing of slides, and I really like this idea. And it's not a new idea, like, of course, it's just basically that idea of that the beliefs and view you have of the world, in a sense, colours the world or creates the world it's like this idea that 20 people, but say two people can see the same exact situation unfold in front of them and believe two different things about it, and both are true from their perspectives. You know, like two people arguing on the street, one can see two very passionate lovers, one can see, you know, oh, he's abusing her or whatever. You know, it's coloured by your experiences, your kind of well, so the slide is something you carry around in your own mind that others are not carrying. So it's something that you've decided about the world that's not necessarily, you know, a kind of a more group thing, because as soon as it comes kind of, I suppose, into that kind of group thing, you're getting into pendulum territory.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not quite that kind of thing.
It's like that thing, you know, that thing, English speakers have this thing about German being this aggressive, harsh, horrible language.
Yeah.
And it's bollocks, like, you know, if you've ever watched German porn, it's definitely not aggressive. You know, German blonde lesbians talk to each other, whisper sweet nothings into the ear. Yeah, this is so good. Yeah, you know, it's fine, like, you know. So, but that's a slide. That's your perception is that German is a hard, strong, aggressive language. But like when you hear like actual German people speaking in their, you know, Bayern or Bavaria dialect, it's not aggressive or harsh at all. It's quite nice.
But there's some great examples at the minute, and you're seeing it on Reddit, of like things of like people. There was one on Reddit there, I don't know if you've seen it. This guy, he was like DHL postman. What are they called? The
courier.
Courier. Thank you. Or whatever, or other, you know, other courier services are available. Let's say it was DHL, probably wasn't. It was American, but he's just doing it, and because he's a black man in America, just this white woman, obviously called Karen, came out and she's going, "You're acting suspiciously. I have to call the cops," and all this kind of stuff. And he's going, "Why? I'm literally just here, you know, delivering, you know, the things." And then his boss comes up, and his boss is white. And then it's just completely diffused. Her slide changes to accept that this is just a normal, you know, a delivery man doing the thing.
Yeah.
Or the other one that you hear about, there was someone called the police saying there's a black man dressed up as a policeman in the alleyway outside with a flashlight. Rather than going, and I was like, really? That's what you're seeing. But that's your slide. That's it. That's how you've coloured the world to not accept anything other than a certain type of white person as a policeman or whatever it is. Like,
no. A good lesson I got from slides was slides was probably the hardest chapter for me. Whereas I think you like this one the most.
Yeah.
Was because I'm not a person who. It's like the thing I've spoken about this before. How Wayne Rooney discovered how to use visualization for his football, you know?
Yeah.
And see, I'm a bit like that in that I don't really visualize much stuff very far ahead in the future. So slides for me are quite difficult. I'm not used to thinking in that way at all. But
yeah, but I suppose slides don't also have to just be a visual thing. Like you can, like, there's a thing I wrote about years ago on the website. It was called, I think I called it radiating aura technique, and it was the whole idea of, it kind of comes from NLP, but it's a bit more woo. That in NLP you have this idea of modelling.
I just have this fucking idea that one afternoon Tommie ate far too many beans and felt guilty about the toxic air he was producing. I better fucking make up for this somehow. Balance this up. How to make your aura better? Because mine stinks.
Why will no one sit beside me on the bus? But so it's like in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, for those who don't know, is kind of like, it was a big thing done, created by Richard Bandler, popularised by people like Tony Robbins and many other people. But it's a modelling where you look at someone who's successful in whatever area you want to be successful in, and Tony Robbins would say success leaves clues. So you kind of look at what they did, how they act, you know, even down to their posture, all of these type of things, and in a sense, you do an impression of that. Now it's modelling, it's called. So you do a model of it and that kind of thing. So I was kind of said, well, that seems to work in different things. It seems to work, but it's like you kind of have to be careful of, and he talks about this later in the book as well, be careful of not just doing an impression of someone, you know. So it's like, oh, well, I really like Johnny Depp as an actor, and I really like, and then you start dressing up as you know, Captain Jack, and you go, well, no, that's not what that is, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, say you have no confidence or whatever, and you just can't, you just find it. So you start to think of what would a confident person, how would they feel? You know, what would that feel like? What would the posture be? What would that? And you kind of radiate that kind of out from you as, you know, you're reading it.
Exactly,
you know.
yeah.
And you can take that to a kind of a, as far as you want, you know, like what would a, say you really don't like how you look, you know, but how would a good looking person feel? What would their confidence be? And all this kind of, you push it out. So the slides thing is kind of more than just a visualization. It's be like, if I feel a dissatisfaction, or if I feel uncomfortable or embarrassed, say, about my weight or about my, whatever, my car or my house or whatever it is, it's not just, you know, that's a feeling. So that a slide is also the kind of a feeling. So and take that slide, that negative slide of embarrassment about your car, and then, you know, changes to, you know, what would a confident person feel, or what would the equivalent opposite kind of slide. So it's not necessarily, I don't think, just because, you know, when we think of slide, we're thinking of, I suppose, something like a film slide.
No,
or,
film
you know,
slide, yeah. But that's exactly kind of pretty much what I got from this is that, like, you know, stop fighting against yourself. So let's say, like, with someone who's feeling ugly or fat or whatever. So stop fighting with yourself and just say, okay, so if I was a confident person, how would I feel about, or how would a confident person, no, I'll put it another way. Like, you see tons of overweight people and they're fine and happy with their life. So, like, I'm just going to act like that for a while. And it's like, there was a scene in Better Call Saul there, the last season, when Jimmy was at this horrible murder with the fucking narcos. He says to, what's his name? The old guy. Do you watch it?
No, don't watch it.
Oh, jeez, well, it's great. He says, like, you know, when like, this is the first murder he's ever kind of seen. And loads of them got this shit blown out of him. And he's like, you know, when does this get better? Like, when do I stop thinking about it? And your man says, like, you know, someday you're just going to wake up and you're going to get through the whole day, and then the next day is going to come, and then you're going to realize that yesterday you didn't think about it, you know. And that's the thing, it's kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing. What I took from it was that, like, you know, because I used to be so fucking negative, and, you know, I still fall into the trap, especially when I'm tired and stuff as well. But it's just like, stop looking at stuff, stop looking for the negative in something, and just say, right, well, where's the positive in this? And, you know, anything, just from, like, shit, I can't park close to the door at Lidl. Sure, you know, a little bit of a walk. You know, it'll be more exercise bringing the bags down or whatever. So just, but it is hard to change your mindset, because we're all creatures of habit, like.
Yeah. Our default seems to be negative.
Yeah, our default definitely does seem to be negative. So try and making that into a positive. It's not easy. Jesus, no. I mean, none of us do it perfectly. No one, absolutely no one. Maybe unless you're Zen enlightened or whatever, you can do it. But, like, I don't know anyone like that. No. You know, so, I know
people who think they're like that and they're not like that.
But it's just identifying yourself. Identifying when you're falling into that trap of thinking negatively, and just turn it around and say, nah, it's all right, it's grand, it's okay. Drop importance on it, or else find the positive in it. And it's a far better way to live your life. Like, you know,
and even down to, like, from how you feel about yourself, or how you think other people feel about you. You know, like, I mean, like, well, I feel fat, and you can be okay with that, or I feel fat and I think other people are laughing at me. So there can be a level of these things, and then, you know, again, go back to how you view other people. You know, like, all Polish people are lazy or whatever, you know, is your thing. And then, but you act from that point of view, think of someone, you meet a Polish person, you immediately think they're lazy. And, you know, so that's a slide. And there's a thing that he brings up in this, he calls transfer chains. He's like, some of the names are great, but I assume they're just, like, in Russian, they're probably, you know, just, it's different. Because I know when Renee talks about heart and mind, she talks about soul and mind. Rather than heart, mind. So it depends on what book you have. But this is the thing that kind of gets me a bit about this section of the book, is that he's talking about slides, and then he talks about this kind of transfer chains, which in a sense would seem to fit into the next chapters better than this one. So it's basically this whole idea of that if you, well, I suppose he's saying the way through transfer slides or transfer chains is through changing your slides. So I understand why he's brought in. So if you want to be a rock star, and you are living in a ditch, you know, in somewhere, and you go, well, you can try all you hard to jump to Rockstar, but you're probably not going to get to Rockstar, and that's going to be frustration. That's too far away, and so the transfer chain is much too wide. But if you can get from living in a ditch to not living in a ditch, that's a doable transfer. That's a smaller chunk. That's a thing you can do. And the slide, he's saying, the thing that you should in that is, rather than doing the slide of Rockstar while you're living in the ditch, is you do slide of not living in a ditch. And then when you get to not living in a ditch, you do the next bit with the overall arc being Rockstar.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And then the amalgam, as he calls it, which is mantra to the rest of us, is what's the advantage? That's one way of trying to turn a negative situation into, not trying to put it into a positive situation, but not giving in to the negativity totally. So it's like, what is the advantage in this kind of horrible situation? Or the other way you can kind of look at it is, if it's a totally horrible situation, you can play that kind of mind game for, oh, well, it's saving me from something worse. Or it's, if there's a delay, it goes, oh, well, it's meant to be a delay because that means something better is going to happen. Or so there's an hour delay and goes, well, that stopped me from maybe getting in a car accident that I wouldn't have got into. But I know it is that thing, but it's kind of, you just trying, rather than necessarily say believing that, it's just trying to not let the moment win in that negative thing of just looking at the horrible thing and go, well, maybe there is a positive here. Maybe there's something, what's the advantage? What's the nice thing here?
Yeah.
Let's just try and flip it. And then what's the advantage? That mantra is brilliant, though. It really, when you can do it, like we've seen, in some situations you go, what's the advantage? Another party member goes, well, you fuck off with your advantages and let me suffer. But when I am able to do it, I find it really, really helpful. Just like, what is, it's like that thing I've seen before about, when you spill the milk. And you go, well, there's 1,000 things that have to go right for you to be able to spill the milk. I hadn't spilt milk since then, and I was in the worst of form the other day, and I went to the fridge and I pulled some out and I spilt the milk, and I immediately just started laughing. I go, oh, there you are, that's it. So I've broken that loop or that slide of spilt milk or that thing, because it's like, now it's funny. It's a funny thing because it's like, as if rather than what it used to be, which was the universe really, fuck you, it's now, ha ha ha, look, you're being an idiot. So,
Good one. I liked as well in the slides that, he talks about, thinking about your end goal and kind of, every time that you come back and think about it, embellish it, make it a little bit better, And I like that because it means that, like, a lot of these woo things or whatever, they talk about, like, the kind of the lust of the goal makes it unattainable, But he's saying, nah. When you think about the goal, just add in an extra threesome if you want, Enjoy it, like. Yeah. But realize that it's the slide, it's the goal. But to get to the goal, you need to do all these other steps first, and that's why that's the big difference between reality transfer and law of attraction. Law of attraction is just like, if you think something's going to happen, then it'll happen. Well, maybe not. Well, reality transurfing is like, okay, but you still have to work.
You still have to do it.
Yeah. So
it's like what the law of attraction should be, but it's like it's harder to sell because you go, well, here's a 1,000-page book that you have to read. Just believe good things will happen and good things will happen.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't get an Oprah with dark glasses, sit beside a fire with some sort of 70s haircut. The next two chapters are very similar. Like they overlap an awful lot, but we'll.
The another thing, just to force my point home, right? About this embellishing the slide and whatever. He says, do not treat the slide as if it was. As if it were just a picture. You can live it, but live it in the virtual world. So that even when you're embellishing things, just be aware that, like, like this is me just adding an extra salt and pepper onto what I want. But it's still apparently that he would say that this is the way for, like, your subconscious familiarizes itself even more with what you want. It's like your man Osmond Spare as well. When he talks about the sigils, when the sigils come back into your mind, like, think about them and give them a little bit of power, but then stop thinking about them. And it's exactly the same as this. Exactly the same.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like, I suppose, and it's normalizing it. It's kind of, rather than fretting about it or get anxiety or thinking about why I won't have to go, oh, and I could have cream as well. Ooh.
Exactly.
So a visualization of your goals is the work of desire, which will not bring you a single step closer to your goal, which we said because desire is an impotent daydream. In transurfing, the visualization practice involves imagining a mental picture of the process of moving towards your goal based on the principle that the goal must be reached sooner or later because the power of intention is working. So what he's kind of saying there is that the slide or the visualization is not necessarily the end thing. It's not whatever it is, the car. It's the enjoying of getting to the car. It's seeing, going to the showroom or being the person who would be able to afford this car or whatever it is. It's all that kind of, that, I suppose it's the transfer chain. It's the smaller chunks towards it rather than the the big.
And
thing.
even on your example there, like he to use the car example, he'll say he has a thing about it as well. We haven't mentioned it, or I don't have it in my notes either. But it's this thing about like, think about all the things that would be connected with that goal. So it's like you walk into the showroom, and you don't feel that you're a poor person with imposter syndrome. It's like, because like I know this feeling from going into a showroom with not having a pot to piss in and just fucking looking at cars, but then being able to go in and say and you're signing the thing to get the lease on the car or whatever, and you're treated completely differently because it's like, well, I'm supposed to be here and I'm getting that car today.
I'm not an imposter. I'm not a
Whereas like if you're going in with your friend and he's looking at a second-hand car, you're like, oh, Jesus, what am I doing here? I don't deserve to be here. But if you walk in and like, I'm buying this car today, and you're taking that old car and you're giving me exactly the amount of money that I think it's worth, there's a big difference in that.
It's like the whole thing of count yourself in, or see yourself as part of it. And an example I think that Bootsy gives in one of his videos, which I don't particularly agree with, but I understand his example, is this thing of like, if you're having a lovely meal, or there's a meal, family having a lovely meal, and then there's a poor person outside looking in, and they're going, oh, has he able to accept the being able to have the riches or whatever? And I kind of go, terrible example, because circumstance plays a part in an awful lot of this. But I understand the thing he's pointing at is that thing of count yourself in. Don't, if you feel yourself as an interloper or an imposter or whatever, that comes off in your presence or your aura, your demeanor and all that, and people are going to treat you kind of differently. If you're meek and kind of insecure and not very confident, and you're in a situation where you're meant to be, you're not treated in the same way as if you come in. Now, equally, if you're to go too far the other way and become egotistical and bombastic and overbearing, people have an aversion to that as well. So it's not, it's like if you come in and you're confident about, my car's worth 800 quid, you're going to give me this other car for 6 quid, whatever it is your figures. You can tell I haven't bought a car in a while. Confidence rather than coming in as bullying or, to overbearing around anything. But it's like,
well, look, it's not even a confidence. It's not even a confidence. Like, I don't want people to get hooked up on the word confidence, but it's just that this is where I'm supposed to be right now in achieving this goal. That's all it is. This is my place to be right now.
Yeah. And I have every right to be here, which is what I think the next thing, the whole chapter 9, heart and mind, which is I tried to condense what the chapter is, but these two chapters are very, very similar. This and goals and doors, which next is, do not let the world tell you how or what you are or what you want to do with your life. And it starts, we gets back into kind of pendulums and stuff at this. There's a whole kind of section on pendulums in this as well, which, if you haven't read the first one, you probably need to be told about it. But it's this kind of idea of that you have two things going on, I suppose, where you have your heart and your mind, or if you're listening to Rene, it's your soul and your mind. And they're two very kind of different ways of approaching the world or seeing the world. And he describes it as the mind has will, but is incapable of feeling outer intention. So it can only create inner intentions. It can only see the world as a thing that has to be
conquered.
Forced. Forced to do that kind of thing. Whereas the heart or soul, or whatever you want to call it, the heart can feel outer intention, but is not capable of will. So it can only go with the flow. It can only kind of move through things and be kind of, not even reactive, but just kind of flow through things. So it's but I assume still has its own kind of volition and still has its own tract. But it's more, because when it gets to the next chapter where it's saying that for everyone, there's a kind of it's not predetermination or destiny. It's a thing, there's a path in your life that if you choose it, is perfectly fit, fits you perfectly. That's not saying that's the only thing you can do. That's not saying that you will find it or any of these things. But there is a thing that fits for you. So I suppose then the heart and outer intention, when it finds that, is this flowy thing through the perfect fit. And then when the heart and mind are united, the harness the will of outer intention, which I suppose is another way of saying of that when you show up at your shiny thing, the universe has your back. Which I'm not convinced on entirely. But maybe just because in previous kind of experience, I never had the outer intention right, or I was trying to do, I don't know, doing things that I thought you should be doing. There was maybe it wasn't pure intentions or whatever. But it's also, I suppose, even if you have your outer intention fine and your heart and mind are in alignment and all that, it doesn't mean life's going to be easy either. It doesn't mean that
exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you think of this chapter and the kind of?
Let me see. There's all of them. They've all have so much fucking in them, don't they?
Yeah.
He goes back to the pendulums, and I think what I like about it is that he speaks about okay, if a lot of people want to become stars or big in what they want to do, but you don't even have to be. It can be okay, you want to be the best carpenter in your town, for example. So he says one of the ways of doing that is to instead of kind of bowing to the pendulums and saying, right, well, that's what those other carpenters do, so I should do that. No, don't do that. Break the stereotype and do your own thing. Find out what it is you love doing in carpentry, for example, and do it that way. Because if you break the pendulum actually doesn't have any choice, but it has to then give you its kind of power or whatever. Right. And he argues in it then, this is why movie stars and pop stars become stars, because they break the mold and then they end up having people kind of giving them energy,
So they become the pendulum in a sense, I suppose.
Yeah. Which is a bizarre thing to think about,
I suppose, but you can even see that in things like, the kind of the cult of personality and that kind of, how it falls around. So the thing he says is beware of the status quo. And I quite like status quo. I think they've had a couple of nice songs.
Whatever you want. The same song for 40 years, 50 years.
You're in the army now. Whoa. But he's talking about, obviously, the society pendulums, that thing which would kind of are forced on us. And the way he says you can recognise it is that it'll come across as do as I do. Do what I say, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I suppose we feel some sort of obligation towards it, and that's how it's, that thing we've talked about before with pendulums, that they're hard to break out of because they make you feel bad as a person or not a good person, or that's how they make you an adherence to them by taking your energy, that kind of stuff. And so as you say in your, was it woodwork with carpentry example, that you want to be this type of carpenter, but well, why would you want to be this carpenter? This is the way your father's always done carpentry, and his father's done carpentry. I mean, this is how we do it. This is how the Murphys do carpentry. And you go, but I want to be, whatever. So it's just be aware of that to not, just give in to these kind of pendulums, whatever, because even, it's I'll tell you, a good example of it is your thing of where you're saying that you wanted to write a book. So rather than going and writing the book, you kind of fell into the society pendulum of going, well, I'll do journalism because that's close to it and maybe I'll eventually get to my book. But it's kind of doing the kind of status quo version of your goal. And it's just to be careful of not doing them.
Exactly. Because it's and he says as well, this kind of thinking, or this is what leads to people with, anxiety and all sorts of problems, because they're not really achieving their goal. They're achieving they're achieving their interpretation of society's goals for them. And then you end up just pissing at the wind, going, you wake up and you're 45 years old and you're like, I hate my job and my life. What am I doing? Whereas it's okay, man, look, the signs were there when you were 16 to be a landscape gardener. Why didn't you just stay doing it? And now you're an architect and everyone hates you.
Well, it's kind of that's that story. It's that thing of I want to be a mechanic, but my dad wants me to be a doctor, so I'm going to be a doctor. It's that thing. But this is where I think it kind of not mixes up, but kind of melds in with the next chapter, because that thing you're talking about, he called it a foreign goal, and that the next chapter, there's an awful lot of it. So a foreign goal is a goal that's imposed upon you by others. So that would be, my dad wants me to be a doctor, so that's a goal imposed on me by. But it can also be, you have to make money because society says that's what people are. That's how we judge value as or that's how we currently judge caste in our Western society, is how much money you have. Or it can be, you're not brainy enough, you're not bright enough at school, or whatever. Any of these kind of goals that you need to be really good at geography. Why do I need to be really good at geography? Well, because people need to be really good at geography, and okay, it has served me well. A foreign goal serves to improve someone else's material well-being. Now, I really like this because this plays into my conspiratorial brain. That just follow the money. But it's like, it is a formula. It's like, a good example of this would be that a person who, I suppose, forces their child into acting or show business, or those beauty pageant documentaries that we see, or all that kind of stuff, because it's what they wanted. It was a goal they wanted. So they're making their child, and so it's like, in a sense, they're getting it. Or in the case of, like, say, like Britney Spears, stuff like that, where they were literally getting the money from what the child was doing and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good one, and you can see that happening. Like, conspiracies, like, they have a point in the sense, just they go too far an awful lot of time. But that's like, follow the money is a good way of looking at things, or follow where it's more, where's the advantage? Who's getting the advantage here?
Yeah.
And so, like, if you have a goal and you go, well, this set goal, is my ambition here serving me, or is it serving someone else or society or whatever? And if it's someone else, if it's outside you, it's a foreign goal. And then the other one to have a foreign goal makes you feel uneasy. See, the problem with that is that some of my goals make me uneasy, but I know they're still my goals because because they make me nervous or scared, or they force me to become, get out of my box, or widen my kind of comfort zones or stuff like that. So I'm not sure that that's a good kind of test to have if it makes you feel uneasy, because sometimes, asking someone out and you're really nervous, and you would never ask anyone out then. You would never get, because it would make you uneasy. No one goes, well, I feel great about asking this wonderful person who's massively out of my league out. I'll do that. Well, maybe some people, actually, I know people who probably would be like that. But you know what I'm saying, that it's that uneasy thing. I don't know if it's something.
Yeah, I do and I don't, because I wouldn't really see it the same, because no, the way I'd see about what he means, like, uneasiness, is that, like, say for example you're working a job in fucking car phone warehouse or something, and you're selling phones, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just ripping people off here, left, right, and centre. That's uneasiness. Like, what you're doing is wrong. It's morally wrong for you, rather than just being nervous about, say, asking a hot girl out, because then it's like, well, it's a risk reward kind of thing, rather than you feel morally bad. Like, you're not going to feel morally bad about asking out the girl.
Right. So it's uneasiness rather than not in the discomfort sense of widening your kind of comfort zone.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I'm doing something wrong here.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah, right. No, well, 100% on board with that then. And a foreign goal makes you prove something to yourself and others. I think you could have a personal goal that you would want to prove something to yourself too, but is that just kind of because I'm still kind of stuck in this kind of sense of feeling the need to in any way prove anything to myself? I suppose I am then.
Yeah. You don't need to be proving it to yourself. Just do what you're going to do.
No, but what I mean, well, I see it's semantics, I suppose. It's like, I want to see what I'm capable of, so I'm going to push myself. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, but I suppose it's different from going, well, if I'm brainy enough, or if I work hard enough in the coal mine, then my dad will love me. I think that's more what he's pointing at.
Yeah.
Then try and push yourself to be as good as you can. I do like that kind of idea of foreign goals, and he, as a kind of, in a sense, different, in the way slides are different from pendulums. I think foreign goals are kind of different from pendulums too, but they're all kind of connected in that there's a tension to them. Like, whereas you could definitely have, the school system is a pendulum, education is a pendulum, but you kind of within that you will have foreign goals placed on you by your parents, your teachers, or your friends, or stuff like that are part of how the pendulum kind of works. I suppose. Would that you see it that way too?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this frail thing, which I think it's frail, isn't it? Because it's frail with an E. It's not.
Frail.
Yeah. And this is the like proper 60s vibration, man. Stuff. This is that every soul has a unique signature vibration. And the quote is, "For the sake of simplicity of the model, we will consider the soul's frail as its characteristic frequency. Everyone's frail is unique, like the structure of a snowflake." So we are all, we are unique snowflakes, no matter what Tyler Durden says. No two are the same. The frail characterizes the unique and incomparable essence of a person's soul. In one way, you can kind of go, well, that's very woo and that's very new age and everything. But another thing is that there is no one who is exactly the same as someone else. You know what I mean? That there's like, because even if you were, like, the whole thing of we're twins and they're so similar and end up marrying both the same names or whatever. But there's still loads of their lives that is completely different because of
course.
Circumstances and all of these type of things. So I do think that because no one has lived in this era, there's 8 billion of us now, but that could have been 8 billion 100 years ago, but it's a different world, so I mean the experience is completely different, and so there is definitely, but whether it's kind of I don't know, there is a kind of a stumbling block of destiny or predetermination, which I don't think he's pointing at. I think it is just that kind of thing of
I think it's just that
given what you are as a person, there is a way that things could happen. Is it, or what do you think?
Yeah. I think that, but it's like that thing about turn your hobby into a job and you'll never. It's exactly that same thing again. It's that once you find your path, you're going to know, and then you just won't have to work at it because things will click and you'll be grand. Now look, it might just be in your professional life. Your fucking personal life could be dog shit.
Yeah.
Do you know? So but it depends on it depends on you and what your goals are. And what I like as well about reality transurfing is that he doesn't have this. He never says that you should only have one goal. Never comes up once. Yeah. And in so many of these kind of law of attraction type things, they do.
Yeah.
It's really what speaks to me because I'm a jack of all trades anyway. So I want to do 20 million different things. Yeah, you're gonna stop me? Get the fuck out of my way.
The only thing he kind of, I suppose, does point out is that you should probably have a singular goal in an area. So I mean, you, like that kind of what you're saying about the small chunks thing. Have that kind of thing. But like have a love goal, have a ambitious work goal or whatever. It's not just my only goal is to run this 10 kilometers in 60 minutes, whatever it is. That's a terrible goal.
Have you got no legs?
Are you going to walk? But it's interesting to say that because I was watching a video of Bootsy the other day and he does go on about this, that you should only have one goal, and I was going, Bootsy, nah.
No.
But he does admit he was reading a book at the time called Your One Goal or something like that, so it's probably just... the Guardian Angel stuff. This is the chapter that got the first message from
Opened
Spud.
my eyes. Changed my world forever.
So you were asking last week, it was like, or maybe it was the week before, so what do you do now that you contact your Guardian Angel or whatever? And his advice is that you should share your glee and satisfaction with your Guardian Angel when things go well. Yeah,
so it's kind of, in the book, it's kind of that at night time, kind of praying to, not praying to them as in asking for something, but giving thanks for all of the good and great that you have in your life. Appreciation is the word I'm looking for. Show your appreciation to your guardian angel every night. All hail Minerva.
How are you getting on with that? Any updates?
No, you know what? I wrote down stuff and I didn't bring it in with me. No, she's not talking to me as much now this week.
What did you do? What did you say?
No, I know why. No, I didn't say that. Come on. No, I know why, because the lads, Alan Chapman and Duncan, I always forget his surname. What's his surname?
Barford.
See, it's an awkward surname,
Yeah, but think of the bars have reopened in Poland. There you go. Barford. But they have to serve Barford. Remember you said about forest.
It's a barge. Barges only go on forwards. So these are special barges that only go on forwards in Norway. So it's Duncan Trussell Bradford. Trussell Barford is his name. Bradford's in England. Barford from Bradford.
Bradford Wetley.
So they talk about how there are these cycles towards getting enlightenment. The easiest is contacting your holy guardian angel, and then there's an abyss, and then there's a plateau again of enlightenment, and this keeps happening and happening and happening until finally enlightenment is this one long plateau. So I was reading, just going, no, I hope that doesn't happen. but then again, like, you know, at the same time, because she hasn't spoken to me in a while, I took out the 40 servants today, and I copied this from you, that you always take one card out first and say, you know, should I do a reading? And if it's a good, positive card, you say grand. And so it's like, I started shuffling and says, all right, Minerva, what's going on here? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so I took one card, and it was the Master, and I went, okay, all right, yeah, grand. Because I've been reading up on it, and it's that, I think the way I see it now is the Holy Guardian Angel is like the end game for my soul, all right?
Yeah, that's how I see it too,
she's not me, but I'm a little tiny 5% part of her. Yeah. So, and if her thing is... say crafts and art and writing and also other stuff, the war thing I have no interest in at all. I fucking hate soldiers and armies and stuff like that. But so for me then it's that, okay, so I should, you know, concentrate on writing and say carpentry or woodworking, and they're my goals. And she's just saying to me, yeah, cop on, man, just them. And I did it last week as well. I actually had a few hours off where I wasn't due some writing, or I wasn't due some work for someone else around. It was just I had 4 hours to myself, and I went, wow, okay, and I just wrote like fuck. Right. And I wrote a couple of, I wrote a good few pages on the god archetype thing I'm doing, and then I still had 2 hours left. And I went, oh my god, this is amazing. So I went downstairs and started doing work on the woodwork, and man, it just felt like I felt like time had slowed down on Friday, because I had all this time to do stuff. I love doing, you know. And even though over the weekend I didn't have any or very little time to do this stuff, I still found a way to squeeze some of it in, you know. So I think that's what it is. It's just you know, concentrate on these things that give you the most joy, but in a good way, not just going fucking doing coke off the arses of hookers in Rio, which is fun, obviously. You know. But
I mean, there is that kind of like, it's not indulgence. It's not.
Exactly.
It's like, it's that whole thing of that the judge says, I don't know what porn is, but I know when I see it. Like, I know exactly what that is, but I just can't. I don't have the words to tell you the difference why snorting coke off a hooker's arse isn't quite the same as doing woodwork for 2 hours or writing a book. Yeah. But it's definitely not. But that's not a judgment on snorting coke either. Like, have at it. I just don't think. I don't think there's as much of a long-term future in it.
I don't know. Ask that Kinahan fella.
Unless you're going to get into boxing or some sort of money laundering. So yeah, the kind of one of the things just. Oh, I meant to say, there is a book. That's what it is that I wanted. There's a Holy Diamond. It's called that Scarlet Imprint have released. I'm going to send you some his website and stuff like that. And it's his kind of working towards get the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. And he has some other stuff in as well. It's very much from a ceremonial point of view. Like he did the actual kind of stuff. But I think you might find it interesting. And he has a new book coming out that's the follow-up to it, which is why he came into my mind, because I seen that thing. Cool. Yeah, the Guardian Angel stuff, yeah. I mean, who was it? Was it Electro Wizard says, any chance I can borrow yours for a while?
Like, I remember reading that, and I remember texting you saying, Tommie, he's on with angels. And then you were like, no, but you were back to be quick, and you were like, look, they all do. They all get into it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to accept this now. But like, okay, obviously it works. Like, you know. Look, there's nobody more fucking skeptical about this stuff than me, but like, apparently I have an angel who talks to me in my dreams now. Okay. So I feel a lot better for it, to be honest.
There's a rap in the door, and then comes Spud from 5 years ago. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. Fucking nuts, huh? It's weird. It's really weird. Like, I can't explain it to anyone. And as well, I can't really talk about it to anyone except Aga. And I think she does believe. Like, I can't go downstairs and say to me, Ma, come here to me. Come here. There's something to tell you. Like, she'd have me sectioned. You know?
I know, yeah, but that's like it is. It's like in Jonathan Strange, Mr. Norrell, there's a kind of section where the only way where you can actually properly do magic is you have to go a little crazy. There has to be a little bit of insanity that has to creep in. So I do think but you have to kind of maneuver in that because you do see people very much falling into the insanity kind of bit.
I must send you that article I read about because it was quite good, and it was like, some people this can become a god, and you worship it, and you're just dedicated to trying to please it or something. That's not the way I see it. I'm like, okay, so I'm a rung on the ladder for her to get to where she is. You get me? So I'm just I gotta for her to get. It's like a fucking mission in a computer game. Like I got to complete my mission as good as I can so that
up a level.
The next thing goes up a level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great because I always wanted to believe in reincarnation. Anyway, I was just afraid to.
I'm not a bit afraid to believe in reincarnation. I don't want to come back here, man. Jeez, I'm tired. Come on.
I don't know. I mean, there's still so many things I haven't got a chance to see and do, and.
I know, but sure, you might have already done them and you just don't remember. Like, I'd love to see the pyramids. Yeah, you built the pyramids, man. Never want to see them again. You were there building the pyramids. Go, if I ever come back to Egypt, I swear to God.
Someone, no, I can't say who. Someone thinks I was Lenin in the past life because there's photos of me looking very similar to him. And I read something about Lenin this week. I shouldn't be laughing.
No, that's funny, because remember when we made the documentary of doing the Reiki, and I said that to you when you were lying on the plymph?
You and the other people that said it as well. But there was a thing about Lenin I heard about him today that yesterday I'd never known about him. Apparently he spoke English in an Irish accent.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, his English teacher was Irish apparently, so that's. Right. That's a weird one.
To the gulag, would you?
But I don't want to have been Lenin. Lenin killed many, 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 many people. He wasn't. Look, I mean, I definitely have a soft spot for communism. Well, socialism, not communism. Yeah. Communism was socialism done very badly. But Karl Marx, I think he's going to be proven correct. He already has been proven correct, I suppose, with all of the stuff, really. But I'm rambling here, Tommy. I'm losing people with communism.
Imagine you got in contact with your holy guardian angel and goes, give me a name. Lenin. And you're no! My work is not yet complete.
No, I don't know. Yeah, anyway.
You'll start photoshopping me out of photographs and everything next. It'll just be eventually the podcast photo. I won't be in it next week. It'll just you. And you'll slowly get more to the set.
No, that won't be happening. I don't have access to your SoundCloud account. Right, we done?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think that's all the things. The last two chapters we blended in together. Not sure if that is the end of book 2, but that's 300 pages or something.
That's what we're calling it.
Yeah. So the very last note I have is trust yourself. So there you go. Unless you're Lenin.
Viva la revolución! Bye-bye! Hasta luego. Che Guevara as well. He was a big... I used to have T-shirts with Che Guevara. That's how committed I was to the cause. Your Yankee listeners now are going to hate me for this. I know they are. They all hate communism. Actually, my wife hates communism too. It's not communism. It's socialism. I just want everyone to be happy. And equal and, not people more equal than other people, but just be more like Sweden. Let's be more like Sweden, but less
and allow
death.
people to die.
No, less death. Less death. Switzerland then. Let's be Switzerland.
Well, it'd just be keep all the Nazi money.
I know, it's pretty socialist. Yeah. Let's keep all the Nazi money. We'll have bunkers in all of our flats. I read the other day, Switzerland, I know I said goodbye already, but Switzerland can hide 114% of its population in bunkers. I don't understand that maths.
Well, it means it can hide its population plus 14% equivalent of someone else's population, I assume.
What? They're going to take it. Here, Liechtenstein, we like you. Come on in.
Yeah. No, it'll be like, we can take 114%. What we're doing is 20%.
Yeah, that's the Swiss, definitely. Yeah. No, let's not be Swiss. I don't know. See, communism's never worked properly anywhere, so there's no good excuse. But it's just, let's all.
Has communism not worked successfully anymore because communism doesn't work? Or is it just that it hasn't been?
No, it's just everyone has done it wrongly, Tommy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Can you do it rightly though? This is
There's a challenge, huh?
You should try and implement it in your household and see how well it goes. And then,
like which country is the most socialist at the minute? Are they the Nordic countries? Because it's
that's the most in principle. Like they're still democratic, obviously.
That's where it's the most equal. Like, and there's a thing like in Denmark.
Catholic.
In Denmark, if you're born poor, you have the highest chance out of any country in the world to become rich.
Oh, right.
You know,
we're also the happiest people in the world, aren't they, the Danish?
Fucking boring. Jesus. I went out with a Danish girl. Oh my God almighty. Honest to God. I know people that have had sex with mannequins and apparently it was more fun.
Hope you're listening. Spud had a great time.
It wasn't me. I'm not naming him. Fucking weirdo. Bye-bye!
Oh, brilliant.